Erica. Welcome back to Maniacal Reader. Today I'm going to be doing the T.B.R. tag. This tag was originally created by a group of friends who run a blog together. I'll put a link to the original tag in the description. I saw this tag on Heather's channel from Bookables. I'll put a link to her video down below as well. This tag is all about your T.B.R. pile. And I don't normally talk about my T.B.R. pile other than my monthly T.B.Rs, so I thought this would be a fun tag to do. The first question is, how do you keep track of your T.B.R. pile? I keep track of my T.B.R. pile in 3 ways. I have a spreadsheet on my computer of a list of the first books in series that I haven't read yet. I also keep track of my T.B.R. pile with Goodreads, with my to-read shelf. The third way I keep track of my T.B.R. pile is from my T.B.R. jar. The T.B.R. jar is comprised of the slips of paper from the spreadsheet, and I randomly choose slips from that jar when I don't know what books to read next on my T.B.R. pile. The second question is, how do you choose what book on your T.B.R. to read next? I like to make monthly T.B.Rs for myself. They give me a list of books to read, and I find that it gives me a structure to follow every month. Like I mentioned before, I also use a T.B.R. jar when I really don't know what to read next and have no clue. Or I just go by my mood, whatever I feel like reading next. The third question is, what book has been on your T.B.R. the longest? For this question, I'm going to have to go with The Help by Catherine Stockett. This is an adult fiction novel, and this book has been on my shelf since November 2011, and I haven't read it yet. This book follows a black woman and what her life is like during the 60s, and what it was like for black people during that time. I've seen the movie a few times, but I haven't read the book yet, and I would still like to read the book in the future, even though this book has been on my T.B.R. for a long time. The next question is, what book have you recently added to your T.B.R.? I recently added Losing It by Cora Carmack. This is the first book in a new adult romance companion trilogy, and this book follows a girl named Bliss Edwards. Bliss Edwards is a senior in college, but she hasn't lost her virginity yet. She's sick of being a virgin among her friends, so she wants to lose her virginity as quickly as possible. She decides to have a one-night stand with a guy. Afterwards, she leaves the gorgeous guy in her bed the next morning. When she goes to her last class of her senior year, she realizes that the guy she left in her bed is her theater teacher. I'm looking forward to reading this book. It sounds like a cute new adult romance that's humorous, but it might also have a sweet romance to it. I've heard Cora Carmack is a great new adult writer, so I can't wait to check out one of her books. The next question is, a book that's on your T.B.R. strictly because of the cover. I'm choosing Splintered by A.G. Howard. This is the first book in a YA high fantasy series. This book series is a Alice in Wonderland retelling. I don't really know much about the Alice in Wonderland story, and I don't really read YA high fantasy, but as soon as I saw this book in the bookstore, I knew I had to have it. The next question is, name a book on your T.B.R. that you never plan on reading. I'm not sure how to answer this question. All of the books that are on my T.B.R. right now are ones that I still am interested in reading, so I do plan to get to all of them in the future. The next question is, name an unpublished book on your T.B.R. that you're excited for. I'm going to have to go with Enigma by Tanya Cooper. This is the second book in the Schrodinger's Consortium duology, and this duology is a YA sci-fi duology. This duology is about a girl that has psychic powers, and I like sci-fi stuff. The second book, called Enigma, is being released in paperback on July 3rd of this year. I'm really looking forward to reading this book this summer, because I know that this duology is definitely something I'm going to like. The next question is, name a book on your T.B.R. that basically everyone's read but you. If you've watched my channel for the last little while, this book shouldn't come as a surprise, but that book is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book in a YA high fantasy series, and everyone on BookTube has read this trilogy, but me. I want to get into more YA high fantasy this year, so I'm hopefully going to change that when I read this book this summer. The next question is, name a book on your T.B.R. that someone's recommended to you. Heart of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Carol over at the Reading Wallflower thought that I'd really like this series. The third book in this series just recently came out and everyone has been talking about this series non-stop. I read Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass series, but I haven't picked up this series yet, and I think I'm really going to like it. Some people really love this book, some people really hate it, and I've heard that the next couple of books in this series is better than the first one. In any case, I'm really looking forward to this series and hopefully discovering what everyone is talking about. I don't know much about this series other than this first book follows this girl named Feyre, who is a fairy. The next question is, name a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. For this question, I couldn't choose just one book, so I chose a few. The first one is Losing It by Cora Carmack. I've already mentioned this book, but this is a book that I recently picked up. I'm definitely looking forward to getting to this book soon. The next one I have is The Secrets We Keep by Trisha Lever. This is a YA contemporary book, but it does have a mystery element. This book follows two girls named Ella and Maddie. Ella and Maddie are identical twins. Ella is a quiet girl who's always lived in Maddie's popular shadow. Ella and Maddie get into an argument, and this leaves Maddie dead. When Ella wakes up in the hospital, her family believes that she actually is Maddie. Ella feels responsible for Maddie's death, so she makes a split-second decision to pretend to be Maddie. I'm really intrigued by this book. I've always been fascinated by identical twins, and I'm curious to know why Ella's family believe that she's actually Maddie and what happened there. You'd think a family with identical twins would be able to tell the girls apart, which I think is weird. I think this is going to be a weird but fascinating book, and I can't wait to get to it. The last book I wanted to mention for this question is Thoughtless by S.C. Stevens. This is the first book in a new adult romance series. It follows this girl named Kira. Kira has been in a relationship with her boyfriend Denny for 2 years. So when the two of them move to a new town to start their new lives together, Denny lands his dream job and Kira starts at a top-notch university. An unforeseen obligation forces them apart though. Kira is devastated, and she seeks comfort in the arms of a rock star named Kellen Kyle. Her relationship with Kellen starts off as a friendship, but when her loneliness grows, their relationship changes. I've heard this book is serious and one of those emotional new adult romances, and I like emotional new adult romances, so I can't wait to get to this book. It sounds like a relationship that I would really like. The final question to this tag is, how many books are on your TBR shelf? I have a little over 200 unread books on my TBR list. I am still interested in reading all of the books on my TBR, and I never used to have such a large collection of unread books, but that all changed when I started my BookTube channel. But I'm fine with that. I like having a large collection of books to choose from and look at. I'm not bothered by having a lot of unread books like some people are. Those are all of the questions to this tag. Comment down below and tell me what your answers to these questions would be. I'd love to hear them. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!